Now, remember, your GCF cannot be larger than your smallest number up there. So if I want to factor, you're looking for the number and you're looking for the letter. Do they have a number and or letter in common, Brian? They have a 3 in common. Do they have a letter all in common? No, they don't. So what you're going to do is you're going to yank out the 3. So that's going to be 5x squared plus 17x plus 6. Do we see that, yes or no? Now what do you do? How do I know to factor it into 2 binomials? No, because it is a squared exponent. The minute that you factor out your GCF and you still have a squared, what you have to do is put it into 2 binomials. Yes? I don't anymore. Now, what do I do? Put it into 2 binomials, and what are the factors of 5x squared? 5 and 1. So I'm going to choose 5x and x. Agree? Now, the next thing after that is I'm going to look at my sign here, which is positive. Now, if it's positive, what are my options? How do I know which one to choose? You go to the second sign in the middle, and it's going to be plus plus, so the minus minus is going to be eliminated. Agree? Now, look at the next one, which is the 3. I'm sorry, that's the third one. This is the fourth one. Factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. You use the middle factors in high hopes that that's going to give you the smaller numbers, right? Now, which one do I want to strategically place where? The 2 goes with the 5 over here, the 3 goes out here. Why? Because I want a rather large number, correct? I need to take that 5 and multiply it by the 3. So 5 times 3 is 15x. Inner gives me 2x to give me 17x. Am I right? Am I done? Doesn't matter. You're done because there's no equal sign. All I asked you to do was factor it. I didn't ask you to solve it. I asked you to factor it. Okay? So if I just asked you to factor it, that means it's done right there. Do we get that? Yes or no? Okay? Next, number 6. What's different about this number 6? The negative in front of the x squared. So what do? So if you're going to multiply the whole thing by a negative, or factor out a -1, that gives you x squared minus 3x minus 54. The biggest mistake that all of you are making is you're too lazy to write that step down right there. You think that if you just put the negative around, put a parenthesis and put the negative on the outside that you're done. No, you have to write that step. Because if you don't write that step, how do you know what to look for? So what do? Why 2 binomials? It is squared. Do we see that? So I keep that -1 out there, and I put into 2 binomials, x and x. And I need a -54. So what's that mean about my signs? Did we forget something? Did we forget something? We just tried to put our pants on first, didn't we? We need to look for GCF. Is there a GCF in this case? There is not. So that's why we manually just kind of went over it, okay? And I understand that. We automatically like, okay, this is good. There's no GCF. But I don't want you to do that. So please make sure you're not, okay? I need a -54, which means my signs have to be opposite, which means they're what? Flip-floppable, yes? They're flip-floppable. So now, I need factors of 54 that are going to give me -3x. 9 and 6 will work. Which one has to be negative? The 9 has to be negative. The 6 has to be positive. Inner gives you 6x. Outer gives you -9x to give you -3x. Am I right? Am I done? What about that negative? You leave it alone. It's just hanging out there in left field. We good? What about this one? What is that one number? Number 2? 49 minus 36k squared. What do you notice, Kayla? 49 is a perfect square, so is 36. If they're both perfect squares, can I have a GCF? I could, but do I? No, since I have no GCF, how many of you are wanting to flip-flop these around and put negative 36k squared plus 49? Please don't. Leave it alone. It makes no difference if you put the number first or the variable first, okay? Go straight to two binomials. 49 is a perfect square, so what's that going to be? 7 and 7. I need a negative 36, so what's it say about my signs? Positive, negative. And 36k squared. 6k and 6k. Inner, 42k. Outer, negative 42k to give you 0k. Is that what I wanted? Am I done? Joe? I don't care. Not yet. On the back, number 14. What in the world's going on with this one? Why is there 3 answers? First of all, what he just said was 3 answers. 3 indicated that we had an exponent of what? A cube, okay? Answers means that he's looking for solutions, right? On the front, we just factored, didn't we? On the back, we're looking for physical answers. And how many of those physical answers are we looking for? 3. And how can we go about finding those answers? We have to factor, right? So before we can factor, what do I have to do? I have to bring that 15x over to the other side. Step 1, set it equal to 0. Step 2, GCF, okay? So it cannot be larger than your smallest number, which my smallest number is 8. So do I have a numerical GCF? No. None of them are divisible by 8, 4, or 2, are they? They're only divisible by 1. Do I have a variable GCF? I do. You can't ignore that. If you have a variable as a GCF, you have to pull it out. So if I pull out an x, what am I left with? 12x squared minus 8x minus 15 is equal to 0. What do I do with the x? Just keep bringing it down until you need it at the very end, okay? Now what do I do? Factor into 2 binomials. Josh, what do I do? Why? Why? It's still x squared inside the parentheses. Thank you for not leaving your man behind. So you have an x squared inside the parentheses. So you need to go ahead and put it into 2 binomials. So I need a 12. Factors of 12, what are they? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Which ones do you think would best benefit us? 2 and 6. Some of you can see that faster than others. And if you can't see that 2 and 6 is your best bet, then go right ahead and do the 3 and 4. Pretty much logically think, is 1 and 12 going to help me? Probably not. So it's between 2 and 6 and 3 and 4. Many of you already said 2 and 6. And 2 and 6 is your better bet. Okay? I need to have a negative 15. So what's that say about my signs? They're flip-floppable, so I put plus minus in here, yes? Do I know if it's going to stay like that? I don't. It's flip-floppable. So now I need my factors of my 15. Okay, which one is probably not going to work? 1 and 15 are probably not going to work. So what do I need to use? 3 and 5. So where do I strategically place the 3 and the 5? Do you really want to put the 5 over in the outer where you're going to multiply by 6? Probably not. So you want to put the 5 in with the 6 and put the 3 on the outside. Do we see that, yes or no? Inner gives me 10x. Outer gives me negative 18x to give me negative 8. Is that what I want? Do we see that, yes or no? So now I've pulled out my GCF. I set it equal to 0. I pulled out my GCF. I factored what was left. Now what do I do? When you say thing, what does that mean? Only the binomials? You have to do the GCF and each parenthesis equal to 0. Now, do you know how many of you totally disregarded the x equals 0? A lot of you did. You cannot do that. Can you have $0 in your pocket? Yes. Can you have 0 debt? Okay? Can you eat 0 amount of food? Yeah, you can. It's just probably not going to be for very long. Okay? Not me. I know I can't. So x equals 0 is a legit significant answer that you must write down. So what do I do with the second one? So 6x is equal to negative 5. And then divide by 6, so x is equal to negative 5 over 6. Yes? What do I do now? Add 3. 2x is equal to 3. Now what? Divide by 2. And x is equal to 3 over 2. Okay. Now, I have 3 significant answers. Yes? Now, I'm going to be done, but before I let you break off into groups, please, people who do all the talking need to do less talking and more listening. People who don't talk as much, if you don't tell your partner what you need, they don't read minds. They can't help you. Whenever they try to help you and you say, I don't understand, and they say, what don't you understand, and you say the whole thing, you and I both know that's not true. The whole thing is not true. Whenever you lose your car keys or your cell phone, what do, folks? You can't. You lost your cell phone. If you don't know where that's at, what do? Look for it. How do you know where to look for it? What? You retrace your steps. In other words, you look at the last thing that you did not understand, and you go the step above it and say, did I understand that step? You don't say, okay, that looks long and involved. I don't understand any of it. You say, I don't understand this step. I don't understand the step before that, but I do get the step before that one. Now, what happened between those 2 steps that you don't understand? That's what you need to ask your partner, and that's what your partner needs to explain to you. Do you all understand what I'm saying here? Any questions? You have 10 minutes. Take that 10 minutes and help each other out. Any questions? I will say, please pay attention to problem number 7. You cannot put your pants on first and then your underwear on second, okay? So whenever you're looking at this problem, the GCF is crucial. What is the GCF? 5a. And if you pull a 5a out of 15a squared minus 10a on number 7, you get 3a minus 2 left on the inside. Do you need to split it into 2 binomials? If I pull out the 5a, I'm left with 3a minus 2 on the inside. Can I put that into 2 binomials? Why? It's not squared. Since it's not squared, you're done. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, you like those ones? Do you know how many people did not do well on those ones on the test? A lot of people, because they tried to break it up 15 different ways. Okay? GCF. Any questions? Okay, I'm done.